Why does marketing matter? Would you greet to the stage? Cheryl Go from Grab. We have Jiunn Shih from Zespri. Rupen Desai from Terra, and to moderate the panel from WFA, Laura Forcetti. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you see her? Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
I didn't have a mic until a second ago. Thank you everyone for joining us. So the panel I'm very honored to be hosting now is around marketing matters. So why does marketing matter? Obviously the track today is called Marketing Matters. So we were like, okay, fine, yeah, but does it really matter? And that's what we discussed this morning in a session we had with our members, the WFA members. And the idea is to share a bit of the highlights from the morning with Rupen and Jiunn, who attended the meeting. Cheryl, we don't expect you to do that because you weren't with us this morning, but we'd love to hear your views and your thoughts on what was discussed this morning. So I'll quickly introduce my panelists. So I don't have the exact job titles anymore on the screen, so I'll do it by heart. So Cheryl, Head of Chief Marketing and Sustainability at Grab. Jiunn, Chief Marketing and Innovation and Sustainability Officer at Zespri. Rupen, CMO and Venture Partner at Terra, and also our Regional VP for WFA. And I'm Laura, I work for WFA. We are a global association of marketers, and so, for instance, Grab, Zespri, and Terra are members of our network. So without further ado, I'll start asking a few questions to you guys. Okay. So what was interesting, and so we talked a lot about the value equation of marketing and the role of CMOs this morning. And Jiunn, you raised quite a great point. You know, you said you see marketing as the window to the world for the organization, reaching more people than any other part of the business. Yeah. Yet, if we need a panel to discuss why marketing matters, does that mean there's something potentially wrong in here? So that's my question to you three, and I'll start with you, Jiunn.
Yes, sure.
What do you see as the true value of marketing today, and what factors are currently holding back CMOs from reaching their full potential?
No, fantastic. No, thank you. Thank you for
the
question.
It's an easy one.
Is it? It's an easy one. Okay. No, thank you, and thanks for everyone being here. I think we talked about marketing does matter, but if we need to raise the question, then we have some reflection to do. And I think when you think about it, and I would assume that a lot of us are marketers in this room, marketing is one of the coolest jobs. You know, in the C-suite, CMO is one of the coolest jobs. You know, at our best, you know, we have the ability to influence how people think, feel, and believe. We have the ability to nudge people to different choices, different behaviors, and different habits. At our best, we are the window to the world. We are the function in the C-suite that brings the outside in more than any other function. We are, at our best, the function that actually knows the business model. How does the business make money? And we should know it as best as anyone else in the C-suite. And also at our best, we should be thinking about that marketing should be the function, the CMO should be and marketing should be the function that actually know how we're going to make more money. How are we going to grow this business better than anyone else in the C-suite? But if we need to have a panel to discuss, does marketing matter? And this morning we talked within CMOs how we're starting to lose a little bit of influence in the C-suite. You know, the CMO tenure keeps trending down, right? Why don't we have as much say as we used to? And I think we need a bit of a reflection. And I think reflection and the provocation from it to us is, have we become so focused and enamored by our craft of marketing and our tools and our TV ads and our practices that we have lost sight that we should be the ones that actually understand the business model, and that we should be the ones that knows better than anyone else in the C-suite how are we going to create more value for the business. So I think there is a gap. There is a gap between the CEO, there is a gap between our peers in the C-suite and our functions to what is the role of marketing. And we potentially have disconnected a little bit. And not worse, we are seen sometimes as vain. We are celebrating our likes and our awards, fickle. We're chasing this thing and the next thing and what is the new shiny toy. And romantics, right? I mean, we're like, Cupids wearing tongs. We talk about love and desire. We're like Cupids, firing arrows at consumers around the world. And I think we have a role to reflect. Where do we get back to the practice of marketing actually making an impact into the business?
Thank you, Jiunn. Rupen, I'll continue with you because you had a whole morning to think about it, and then I'll go then to Cheryl. Thank you.
And look, realizing that the audience isn't all marketeers, so there are sports people and gaming people, as well as marketing wannabes. I think I wanted to acknowledge to the audience that it is not nice to be self-reflective and lay ourselves open as senior marketeers, but we've chosen to do a morning of that. And the reason is when I started my career in marketing had a seat on the table. Marketing designed the value equation. We governed all the 4 Ps, sometimes the 6, and over the years we've lost it. Saying, don't get involved in pricing. We have a chief pricing officer. Don't get involved in packaging. We have a chief design officer. Don't get involved in how we sell it. We have a chief sales officer. And somehow, marketing's got a bit lost in the middle. Okay? So outside this room, we'll talk about everything glorified about what we do. But inside this room, we wanted to have an honest conversation. Saying somewhere on the top, businesses are facing difficulties, inflation, sustainability is becoming a challenge. How do you continue to sell more versus make the world better? How do we speak a language that CFOs understand, CHROs understand, the entire C-suite understands? So there's a big set of challenges that marketing has, challenges and opportunities. Right at the bottom, how do we solve the complexity between, do I do Meta, do I do Instagram, do I do TikTok? What's the next thing? Do I do AI? We just listened to a presentation that represented what we're thinking about AI. So there's a lot of stuff at the bottom. Somewhere we are stuck in a little Truman Show. Okay? And the big difference is Truman didn't know that he was in the show. And today morning for me was we do know we're in the show, right? Do we raise ourselves where we bring back the fact that we are the ones who can govern, dictate, build, create value? Or are we going to go to the next conference and saying, let me show you my greatest new TikTok work. It ran for 2 weeks, but I won an award, and Mama will be so proud. So I think it's a moment for all of us as marketeers because we love marketing. We do believe it is important. We do believe we have tremendous value to offer to organizations and the world. Do we rise up to make the world more sustainable? Do we rise up so that Johann Rockstrom's planetary boundaries are understood and more colloquial than Taylor Swift is? Because if I can make a bottle of sugary water look cool, right? Symbol of happiness, I can help the planet. I can help the business. I can help my value grow. I don't have to continue to sell little plastics and little chemicals and plastic bottles and saying I'm in the beauty business. So there is a moment of reckoning. And today's morning discussion did reflect that we need to redefine the value we bring internally to the board at large and externally.
And I think there's a lot of actually studies talking about the power of marketing in changing consumer behaviors.
Yes.
And that's what's probably going to sort or contribute highly to global climate change beyond technical advancements. So fully agree. Thank you. Cheryl.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there this morning, but I think, look, marketing matters because quite simply, we are very integrated and important part of the business strategy, right? And to me, the three things that marketing needs to do well, or a good CMO should have under their remit is number one, they bring customer centricity into the organization through research, through understanding the consumers the best. That helps companies build great products, which in itself markets itself, right? I think the other thing that CMOs must do is drive growth. And you need to do that and be able to show, whether in short, that you are a sales contributor, you are a lever that delivers that. And as long as you do that, as long as there's ROI to everything that you do, I think that marketing matters, and marketing is very important.
Yes.
And lastly, I think, in times of such volatility, marketing builds a brand, it builds trust, it builds long-term value. And I think that's what we do. I think when competition drops price, when things change in the market, it's the brand that keeps people coming back, keep spending, keep using our product. So marketing matters, and I think it's about us doing our jobs really at its best and top level for us to remain relevant.
Thank you. And that's, you weren't here this morning, but that's quite similar to what we discussed. So that's good.
She's always with us in spirit.
Yes. So you've already started to do that, and that question is I'll start with you, Rupen, then Jiunn, about this morning. If without calling anyone out, but could you share a concrete example of something you think CMOs should stop doing? And instead something that they should start doing instead. So concrete example for both.
So just as a context, again for the audience, we had a panel of general managers, CEOs, business leaders, and we asked them the question of, how do you value marketing? And when is it that you really need it most? And what is it that you wish they would stop doing? And it kept coming back to show me the value. If I can turn off marketing in one quarter and nothing happens, somebody was being very provocative, one of the business leaders we got, but he said, sorry, maybe he's also leading, but he said that, look, I need marketing to be the engine of value creation.
Yep.
Genuine value creation. And our definition of value is constantly changing. It's no longer just penetration, it's no longer just pricing power. It also becomes value through sustainability, it becomes value through newer consumers, newer cohorts, newer fans. But if you stop focusing on every new shiny thing and just keep a laser attention onto value, that is what business needs from marketing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's spot on. If you look at studies and you say, what does the CEO expect of the CMO and the marketing function in general, the top three things that always comes up. Number one is the ability to recruit new customers and retain existing ones profitably. Number two is defend or grow our market share. And number three is the first two, but faster than my competitor, right? So all of your other points around brand building, having the narrative for sustainability, all of these things are important, but it's not what is on the top of the radar for CEOs. So we need to, as CMOs, as marketers, understand what is the most relevant for the business, understand, again, the business model, how the business makes money, and be able to speak in the language of business. I think we are sometimes a little bit guilty of speaking our own marketing speak, right? We have a lot of our own jargons, which our peers, they have no idea what they mean. And most importantly, they might not take us as seriously because they don't know what does that mean for the financial statement, whether that's the P&L, whether that's the balance sheet. So I think one thing we need to start doing is understanding what the business requires and being able to speak in the language of business, translate what we do in marketing in the language of business.
Thank you. And I think we talked a lot around also, how can marketing link to just KPIs like volume growth? I think that was one of the comments. Like it's not always the case that marketing will talk about that. But if you go to your C-suite leadership, they will connect directly. Okay, you're talking about not even market penetration, because I can't really relate to that. But what about volume? What about, the actual...
I think there's a bigger opportunity than where Jiunn is leaving it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because yes, we need to know the language of money. We need to know how to make money for the organization. But I think there is a larger opportunity as the world evolves from a very Milton Friedman definition of companies, which is the only job of a company is to make profit for the shareholder. Okay, there is a larger stakeholder value that is still being evolved. So we don't know. Yes, we do understand return on financial capital, but we don't yet know and acknowledge return on societal capital or social capital, return on employee well-being, return on planetary capital. I mean, we're all guilty of working for companies that just take planetary capital for granted. And we're seeing that some of the companies are actually taking a couple of steps back. Without naming any one of them, some of them are taking a step back to Milton Friedman and shareholder capitalism. Some companies that were the poster child of stakeholder capitalism. So as these companies take a step back, I think marketing can play a larger role in redefining value beyond. And I'm not saying ignoring shareholder return. Nelson Peltz would be very upset with me if I said that. But in addition to that, having a view of how we build value so that the end goal is long-term well-being rather than I made money for a shareholder. So I think in addition to what Jiunn was saying, there's a huge opportunity, not just for marketeers. The sports people come into the party, music come into the party, but the entire end goal needs to be well-being for everybody. So I think there's a bigger opportunity, and nothing against Mr. Peltz.
I think the best definition for me of a purpose of a business, any business, whether that's in sports, whether that's consumer products, whether that's in technology and transportation, I think the best definition I ever read is that the purpose of a business is to generate economic profit. That's important by solving the needs of people and the planet, right? So I think if we truly understand our business models, it's not about delivering the results next quarter or this financial year. It's about how do we deliver this quarter, this financial year, but we deliver all of the quarters and financial years to come. And we can't do that as businesses by ignoring the impact that our business has in society, that the impact that our businesses has on the environment. So I think I agree with you on that, but we still need to be able to translate that message in the language that our CEO, our boards, they understand.
And value, understand.
And that's, at the end of the day, it's all about value.
Thank you. So, Cheryl, I've got a slightly different question for you. So what's interesting is you often see, I'm sure everyone is on LinkedIn or if you look at the advertising press, you see the average tenure of a CMO is around 4 years, possibly, one of the shortest in the C-suite. Luckily, that's not your case, for instance, Cheryl. So, you've been in your role for much longer than that. And, there might be some sort of inspiration to be drawn from your experience. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so if in the case CMOs have around 4 years in the position, what should be, from your perspective, what should be their priorities to make the greatest impact on their organization's value?
So maybe, so I've been in my role for 11 years. And prior to my current role, I wasn't a marketer. Actually, I drove sales, business development, and product. And actually, to be honest, one of the teams that I couldn't always understand was the marketing team. And I always felt like, wow, I do such a hard job to bring in the money or develop this product, and these marketing guys spend all my money. It's hard work, you know. So that was my, you know, before I was a marketer, that's what I used to think. And when I started doing marketing at Grab, you know, we had no money. And our job was to grow the business with very little resources, right? And over time, then build sustainable moat as a brand. And then over time, incorporate what is the larger vision of the organization, whether that's retention, loyalty, or sustainability into that remit, right? So for me, I think that foundation of not knowing and coming from a world where what does marketing do and why are they spending my money, to making sure that marketing makes product, sales, business development feel, let me give more money to marketing so that I can actually grow faster, I think is something really important. In fact, you know, this year we were planning for next year's budget, and I was just looking at kind of like what is my marketing budget, and actually somewhere within the range of 20 to 50% every quarter, I get a top up from my business partners. So basically, they feel like marketing works, marketing delivers result, and I'm going to take the money that Grab's given me for my department and put it in marketing to deliver that. So to me, I think it's just, to me, that's it, right? You deliver ROI, and people need to know you deliver ROI, and you need to do it not for 1 year, but for decades. And I think to me, that's what I would like to share.
Marketing needed you, Cheryl.
Thank you for your secret recipe, Cheryl. And I think we mentioned this already a bit, and that's a question that I have for you, Jiunn and Cheryl, because obviously they're not here anymore. But if we look at your job titles, you're not only doing marketing for your organizations, you're in charge of marketing, innovation, sustainability. So, and we talked about marketing as an integrator, you know, a function with a bird's eye view that drives company-wide transformation. And so that's where my question comes from. How does that concretely work? Bringing those teams together so they, you know, and beyond surface level conversations, how do you create synergies and unite those teams that for many are still managed separately? I'll go for you, Cheryl.
Yeah, so maybe, you know, many years ago, I used to do predominantly growth marketing, focus on getting people to use our product and then monitoring whether they stay, which is retention. And over time, I realized, hey, a lot of people drop out because of product-related or experience-related issues, right? And so and you have to remember, this is like 8-10 years ago where we're a very small team. When I started, I was marketeer number 1 and the first marketing hire, the only marketing hire. Today I have a team of 500. So, you know, so I think there were all these product-related issues, and I used to talk to product, can we improve this, can we do that? And over time I realized that is not the most effective way. So I started doing market research and developed a very comprehensive way of monitoring customer experience, which is like, you can use NPS, you can use CSAT, you can use whatever. But until today, that report that we publish on NPS and brand health is the most read document across all of Grab, because it tells us how are we performing, and it also makes and because it's read by C-suite as well, so they know whether we're performing well in certain areas. It makes different teams, whether it's the product teams or the business teams or the customer experience team, sort of take action so that we can retain better. So that's an example, right? I think as marketing, you need to bring in that voice of the consumer. You need a way in which people can understand how other parts of the business are performing and how to drive action. So, I mean, that is an example. And also today in my role, I also do loyalty for the business, which means like if you're in this region, you'll understand we have a subscription program, we have a loyalty program. And all of that is just to make sure that across the board, we are delivering not just on branding, not just on narrative, but on numbers, on retention, and longer term growth. And we speak to many different teams because definitely, I always tell the engineers, if you guys do a great job, sometimes I don't have a job. And that should be the way.
Nice. No, I agree with you, Cheryl. I think marketing, we should know the people who pay our bills the best, right? So who is it that we serve? What is their problems? And how do we connect the abilities and the capabilities of our business and organization to solve that problem and understand what are the problems that those people have that we can help solve as well. So I think the integrator across the organization, whether you are in production, whether you are in product development, whether you are in sales, whether you are in finance, right, is how do we connect through the people that we're serving, right, the people that we're resolving their problems and the ones that pays our bills better than anyone else in the business so that the business model revolves around that person, right, the consumer centricity. So I couldn't articulate better than that. And I think that is what should be the story around integrating around the business.
Thank you. So for those who haven't been on stage here, you don't see that, but the numbers here just turned red. So that means we've got a limited amount of time left. So I've got one last question for you, Rupen, and I think I'm going to bundle it with the last question I also had for the panel. So what do you think of what you've just heard from Cheryl and Jiunn on, creating synergies between teams? How do you believe this is going to be feasible? And taking that into account, what would be your one piece of advice to marketers in the room to ensure that their function is recognized for impact and value?
I think what they're talking about is an integrator.
Yeah.
Marketers have been the only function that has the beautiful ability to deal with 50 different functions within the organization. However, today morning's discussion was very clear that they are unable to illustrate the value they bring in a language that other C-suite understands. So we've got too caught up into our little Truman Show, our numbers, our little awards and everything. So as long as we keep the integrity of the integrator and raise that conversation to value at the C-suite, value beyond financial value, I think marketing should demand its seat back on the table with absolute confidence.
Thank you. Jiunn, your one piece of advice.
Advice. Oh, okay. There's one piece of advice. So can I just say one thing, and I'll get to my advice. But look, we talked a lot about value, and this morning we talked a lot about value. But I would be remiss to emphasize the craft of marketing. What we do in marketing is really, really important. So awards, maybe not to celebrate in the C-suite, but those are important to demonstrate what is working, what is not working. Understanding our craft is super important. It's not just about driving sales. We need to understand the business model as well or better than anyone else, but it's not just about that. What we bring is that empathy, that ability to connect with consumers. What we bring is a little bit of art and magic as well, and we have that role to bring that inspiration. Having said that, I think my advice is don't lose sight of the things that we have to be the best at in the business, bringing that outside in. But let's learn how do we translate that into arguments that the rest of the business can understand.
Storytelling.
I think for me, quite simply, I think step out of the role of being a CMO. Imagine yourself as the CEO. What would you expect? What do you want to see? What do you want to, So I think it's just about that. I think sometimes we get caught up in what we do as marketeers. So I think just step out of that and imagine yourself as the business owner, as the CEO, and work towards making sure that they find value in what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.